Got a big update on SUI, and this one's following the trend break. I was interested in the trend break. I was more interested when the indicators had reset and cooled off. So I was more interested in the break and the retest on this one. So there's the big break. There's the retest. We've had a retest. This is what's exciting me. The stochastic RSI is now oversold. What does that mean? It's the bull's turn. Where are we? At a resistance point. What does that mean? It's a higher probability of breaking through. Not only that, we've got a high probability move that's playing out on the 4-hour chart that I want to show you. It is the inverse head and shoulders. So we can measure the breakout level as well as putting projections on there using our Fibonacci extensions. Does that sound a little bit complicated, guys? I'm going to explain it all. Let's dive in. So we start off with a signal. The first signal that we got, that we had some kind of a reversal. We'd come back down to this support level. This is a support level here. How did we know it's going to be support? Look at this build up of price action. That was previous resistance. We would expect that to act as support. We talked about in the previous videos, we got one thing. We got a bullish divergence. We'd put in a higher low here with a price, had put in a lower low. This was the first signal that something was changing at this support base. Then we went up and we tested the previous trend. That was trend 2. That was crack 2. That was crack 3. Failed 3 attempts, and then we've broke through. We've come back down and we've retested. So things are looking positive now. The thing that I wanted to show you, this high probability move, it's an inverse head and shoulders. It's more apparent when we zoom into the 4-hour, and let's stick it on the 4-hour. So this is what an inverse head and shoulders looks like. You've got a neckline, you've got a right shoulder, you've got a left shoulder, and you've got a head. The way that the work is like this. So coming down, there is your left shoulder, there's your head, here's your right shoulder, and then you can see we've got a breakout, or we're getting a breakout of this head and shoulders as we're speaking. So once we get a break and once we get a close above $4.25, that is going to be the acceleration point for SUI. How do you measure these things, guys? You measure it from the neckline to the tip of the head, and then you project that on the break. These are high probability moves once you get a break and once you get a close. So we pull this down, and then we can look for projections, which are all the way up here, $6.24. So you've got $6.24, which is the projection for the breakout of this inverse head and shoulders. So you've got to wait for the break, wait for the close, wait for $4.23, and then you've got protections here below this previous swing low. So if you were to put a risk to reward tool on here, it'd look something like this. Which gives you a 2.35 risk to reward. Now, that's not a bad risk to reward. The way that you can play it even better is if you've got a break here, you come back down, you got a retest at this level here, and this acted as support. This previous resistance acted as support. What that would allow you to do is pull your stop loss up, because you know that you're wrong once you come back into this inverse head and shoulders. This is where it's a fake out. If it comes back in, that's where you want to be wrong with a limited amount of capital. So if the break's volatile, you come back for the retest. What the retest does is allows you that is not your protection point anymore. This is now your protection point. That limits your risk and increases your reward. That's now a 9.4 to 1 risk to reward. What does 9.4 risk to reward mean? That means if you took this trade 9.4 times and you won once out of 9.4 times, that's nearly 10 times, guys. That would mean you break even. So it is all about a waiting game. It is all about higher probability moves. So the next thing that we're going to do is, next thing I've already done, zoom back into the daily. We've got our Fibonacci projections. Now, when you look at something like this, you've got a big swing here. You've got a big swing here to the upside. So what I've done is I've used my Fibonacci extension in this case from this swing all the way to the bottom, to the top, back down to the bottom to this low here, and then we're using Fibonacci projections. So a 1-to-1 equal measure moves, not far away from this projection here. So you can create a zone here, and this is going to be a resistance barrier. There's the 1-to-1 equal measured move. There is the extension level for the breakout of this head and shoulders if you measure it from the tip of the head to the neckline. And then after that, you've got the 1272 and the 1618. So the 1272 is something when you get a big swing on a swing 3 with Elliott wave, then you expect to get usually at least a 1272 extension. So that bring it all the way to $7.91. So $7.91, if you're shooting for the 1618, that's all the way up here, $9.60. Do I think that's going to happen in one swing? I don't think it's going to happen in one swing. So you're more likely to come up, test the 1272 on the macro. This is the daily chart on the higher time frame. It plays out over a longer period of time. $7.90. That's my targets for the next swing, before we get a rejection, before we get a pullback, and before we go for that big leg 5. So that's what I'm looking for in SUI. Guys, let me know in the comments what you want me to cover next. I'm going to be doing Polkadot next. In the last video, I've done Algorand, so go and check out Algorand because that's breaking trend too. Help me on the road to 10,000 subscribers, guys. I'm getting there. I want to get there within the next 2 days. And when I get 10,000 subscribers, one thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to pick 5 of you guys from the comments that want to self-develop, and we're going to get on a Zoom call. We're going to go through tuition, through training, as far as trading is concerned, as far as investments concerned, as far as portfolio management is concerned. And it is education, guys. It's not going to be real trades. It's going to be you self-developing yourself and educating yourself. And if I can help any of you in any single way, let me know in the comments. Join the Discord group, and I promise you I'll help you any way I can. Take care of yourself. See you in the next one.